for it. All right, welcome. There it is. Welcome to Lightsaber Radio. Today we have another doubleheader of Mandalorian and Bad Batch. We got Chapter 20 of Mandalorian, The Foundling, where we finally got back to Djarin and Grogu storyline, which is fantastic, by the way, and a return of a familiar face that I think we all have seen before somewhere. We also got Season 2, Episode 14 of The Bad Batch, called Tipping Point. We saw some badass scenes with Crosshair, the return of Echo and Rex, and some more progression in that Empire storyline. Plus,
Man,
as always...
You can't forget about Captain
That's
Handsome, true. Mr. Howzer himself.
That's true.
Right.
Plus, as always, we got some news and rumors in the Star Wars galaxy, plus some predictions from yours truly. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this recap and review of this week's Star Wars content.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Last we will reveal ourselves.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
You are now tuned into Lightsaber Radio. If you only knew the power of gods.
Here it comes.
Let's go.
You are now tuned into Lightsaber Radio. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there.
Welcome. How are you guys doing today?
I'm in hell.
I'm in hell. Ugh. I mean, I kind of felt that way. These episodes were a little bit too short, so I felt like I was in hell too.
No, these episodes started my day and made me complete first thing in the morning. Hell is being in freezing cold temperature and hating your job.
Yeah, Idaho sounds like hell.
Really? Coming from
Arizona, Idaho, because I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah. Thanks, babe. In your 50-degree weather, as I'm up here in 20, from negative to 20-degree weather, you know.
Where are you?
Ketchum, Idaho. If anybody's been there, don't come here. There's rich snobs here. And
I
it's
didn't
not
realize
like
it was that drastic.
No,
Like
so
from where Tori is to where you are.
no, so up in Ketchum you have like Adam West. He had his thing up there, his mansion. Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger. Like Ketchum that's kind of the place that people go when they're rich and they want to have a break from LA. Ketchum is Idaho's LA. That
Idaho's LA.
And
That sounds terrible.
It's horrendous. People suck at driving there. I can just tell you right now, if you ever visit Ketchum, anybody that drives a Range Rover, a Land Rover, or a Porsche sucks at driving and will almost hit you if you're holding a stop sign. And don't understand the word
Ketchum,
stop.
Idaho sounds like a beautiful place with beautiful people.
No, horrendous people, crappy attitudes. Hell, I'm in hell. Star Wars got me through it.
All right. Well, then let's get to the Star Wars.
Hold up real quick. What's up, team leader, Chris, Clinton, and team leader
right.
again? Okay.
That's right. Well, let's get to Star Wars. What do we want to talk about first? You want to talk about Mando or Bad Batch?
Let's start with Bad Batch.
All right, let's do it.
Because we always start with Mando, and I kind of want to switch it up this time.
I thought we always
Let's
started
do
with
it.
Bad Batch.
No, obviously
Clinton,
you haven't been paying attention.
Clinton, Kyle had a family thing.
That's right.
He unfortunately couldn't make it, but the rest of us are here. It's gonna be super rad time.
No, he's a punk, man. He be skipping. He don't care.
Nah. So Kyle did have a prior engagement, so he left us to do it. I know the intro didn't have the smooth timbre of Kyle's voice, but you have to deal with me. Brown nosing.
On your nose.
What do you mean?
Nothing, man.
So this episode of Bad Batch, we got season 2, episode 14, Tipping Point. I liked it. Any episode with Crosshair.
You're just a
love it.
Crosshair fan.
Dude,
I like Crosshair's
Crosshair
beginning
fan.
of and I love his beginning of redemption. Like I love the fact that he's doing some gnarly, nasty things that we like have not seen.
Yeah, dude.
Point blank shooting people is a continuous theme with Crosshair lately.
And it was like this was some of like the cleanest combat I've seen in like cartoons. Like I feel like we've seen so much Rebels and like even in Bad Batch, like it's like very cartoony fights. This one, like it was clean. It was precise. Like it just looked good. I don't know. All the combat and all the fighting scenes looked very clean and very put together. I really liked it.
I do also like how they were like legitimately torturing him for a location and how to get to the Bad Batch. And he was like, yeah, don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah. It definitely had a solid storyline. It had a solid storyline too, which Chris is right. It's definitely a storyline that we've kind of been missing. I wish they would have started it sooner, but I guess better late than ever.
I think the way they're doing this is kind of, they have so much potential to play with the story, and they've given us so much filler. We went almost 5 episodes of feeling almost, except for the one Crosshair episode.
Lots of filler. Yeah. It definitely suffered a lot from those filler episodes, and now we're getting into this good storyline. It just feels rushed.
Like, team leader, he's like, hey, it showed where the interrogator droid came from. I do like that because, you know,
it didn't show that.
I mean, it didn't show, but like it brought a little bit more of into like the Imperial droids. You just usually see them running around in the hallways.
Right.
But that's I'm a droid person, so I'm right there with you. I like I said, like I do like how there is a lot more of aggression, like CJ said, point blank, all of that. But I do like how he kind of circled back and was like, nope, not selling them out just yet. Not doing it.
Well, and it's just the amount of torture we're getting. Like, we're seeing physical torture. Like, we've never fully seen that in a cartoon. Like, we've seen the Jedi, like, control the mind. Like, 4 Jedis control Cad Bane's mind and, like, wreck him. But we've never seen the interrogator droid full-on stab the side of somebody's head and inject shit into them and torture them.
And
like,
it did a good job showing it where it wasn't like gruesome for kids, but it was still like, like this is going to be painful. Like,
because we didn't see it with Han Solo. Like when we see it in Empire, when they bring it in, or Leia, when they bring the probe droid in with Leia in A New Hope, it just the door shuts. And then when they're doing it to Han Solo the first time in Empire, the door shuts. George Lucas was very good about the dramatic theme of that. But the fact that Dave and the writers with Bad Batch and everybody was like, nah, man, we want to show this. Have you not seen the last 7 seasons of Clone Wars? Like, it's gruesome. We might as well continue with the gruesomeness. And it was. Point blank, Crosshair, point blank shooting 2 stormtroopers.
I loved it. It was so great to see the lack of stunning. I thank you for not stunning them.
I love that he point blanks. He point blanks the stormtroopers and then he stuns the doctor.
Yeah. That was interesting. I was curious why.
Well, hold on. Did anybody get the vibe that she may be a clone? Because the way it was coming off her voice and the way she was like looking at him was like, I don't like to torture you.
Right.
And I don't like the way this is happening. Like, I know who you are.
Well, it definitely made me like Crosshair even more because Crosshair is going to be ruthless when it comes to like enemy combatants. But when you have a scientist, she's not fighting. She's just a scientist, a doctor, whatever, and he's not going to shoot her. He's not going to kill an innocent or non-combatant life. He's going to do what needs to be done. But if it's not necessary to kill her, he's not going to kill her, which I kind of like that. On the flip side, you have like the clones when they went to rescue the other clone troopers, they were stunning everybody, and I didn't really like that. That was kind of annoying.
Well, because so if you actually like look into it, really, like Echo's talked about it, he's like, we don't know who's who. We don't want to hurt our brothers that haven't flipped yet, and we don't know who's who because the helmets have changed, the attitudes have changed. We won't know until they say something.
Right.
So until they start talking, I think stun is a thing.
That's fair. I don't know. The stun. I just don't like seeing the stun. I don't know. Call me a violent sociopath.
All I've got to say is seeing Lieutenant Fireball, Lieutenant Howzer, Echo, Captain Rex, and Gregor. His crazy ass is flying this ship. What?
Yeah. And then Clinton's like, "No, f that B shooter."
And
Chris is right.
Chris,
we did get the
Chris. Yeah.
Go
I was
for
just
it,
gonna go there. Yeah. Chris says, we've seen Anakin choking dudes in interrogation, which is pretty much the same thing in Clone Wars. And then he also kind of doubles back and goes, "This is the first animated suicide."
I did notice that.
Yeah.
I was watching it, and Addison was watching it with me because we had to get up early and watch it before work. And she's like, "Did he just kill himself?" And I'm like, "Nah, Disney wouldn't have that."
No,
and I
it's a little bit too dark.
I rewound it and I was like, "Oh shit, he killed himself."
Well, and we've seen it before in live action. We saw it in season 2 of Mandalorian, where when Bo-Katan and the Night Owls captured that Imperial ship, we saw that lieutenant hit that chip in his mouth because, well, she wouldn't give up location of Moff Gideon. But to get it in cartoon, holy shit! Like what? Okay, I want to know why they're doing that for starters. Like, I want to know when Palpatine made that a requirement. I'd like the background behind that. Mm-hmm. And what deems it fit for you to commit suicide?
He was not about to get taken alive. Like I think it was more like Imperial protocol. It felt very like Hail Hydra.
It was a Hail Hydra kind of thing.
Yeah, where it was like I will not release like Empire secrets and kind of bit into an electric cyanide pill of some kind. I did have a question though. So it seemed like before Crosshair was like willing to kill the Bad Batch, and all of a sudden now it seems like he's willing to like be tortured to protect him. Seems like it's a pretty big flip. Why all of a sudden do you think he cares so much about the Bad Batch? Because I know they're his brothers, but before he was literally shooting at him, so I don't know what the deal is.
Me,
Yeah,
Tori.
You started talking, so I just.
Yeah, both of you.
So I think after watching Mayday die, and the fact that the Imperial officer wasn't willing to risk normal the normal soldiers that weren't clones to save Mayday, right. I think that's what flipped him, is that the Empire doesn't give a crap about the clones. And that Hunter and Echo and everybody were right. It's only a matter of time before they get rid of us. Camino wasn't a necessary takedown, but Crosshair kind of went with it. Taking down the Bad Batch, it's a necessary evil for the Empire because they are helping a rebellious cause. And then Mayday dying, trying to do his mission for the Empire, and the Empire not giving a shit, I think is what made him flip and realize there isn't going to be change. I think we're all going to die here. I might as well try to get out of here. So that's my opinion.
I gotcha. Tori, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
I think he kind of just took, because we had kind of talked a little bit before, a couple hours ago. I was picking up the kids from school, and so we were just kind of talking back and forth, and mainly about how, yet again, I fell asleep during a Bad Batch episode. I had to watch it like 4 different times because I kept falling asleep. But yeah, he kind of took everything that was kind of talked about and just bloop.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, he's finally realizing, like, all right, who's, I guess, important, who's got his back.
Yeah, a lot of okay, well, these people are family. They said they had my back. I thought they didn't. These people aren't family. They are technically the bad guys. They said they had my back. Fuck them, basically, type thing, yeah.
Yeah. All right. What were some of your favorite parts in this episode? Because I got mine. My favorite was when, like, besides all of Crosshair's badassery, like, just he was so clean in the like, just oh man, he was killing it.
Even like dazed and confused. He'd miss a shot, turn him around, and then shoot him.
Yeah, dude. Like, he was just brutal, determined. He was a killer right there. Reminded me a lot of like other shows like Punisher or like Terminal List. He was determined and he was gonna get shit done. And I don't know. I really liked Crosshair. Besides that, I really liked when Omega was practicing flying the ship. And she's like in the dive, and he's like, pull up, and I was literally like, this is Obi-Wan, pull up, Anakin, pull up.
Right.
I was dying. I was like, this.
I hate flying.
Yeah, dude, that was hilarious. What about you guys? Those were my favorite parts for sure.
I love that, like, just that whole like, and then the fact that the guy, I can't remember his name, he just looks at Hunter and goes, flying lessons, yeah, like. The tech turn, it's not what it's called, but I do like that.
I love that. Was probably my favorite part. Is when she's like, "Oh, you're gonna let me do the tech turn," and he's like, "That's not what it's called," but I do like that. And he like contemplated it,
right?
And I was like, "That's so awesome!" Like, it is the tech turn because we don't see anybody else do it but tech, so it is the tech turn. My other part is when Omega jumps into Echo's arms. And Echo is like, I told you it wasn't going to be long. And I was like, oh, feelers.
And when she's just all excited, like, Tech's like, okay, we got an incoming. And Havoc 4, this is Havoc 5. Like, just so exciting. And I'll race you to the landing. Like, come on. Like, that's like some Big Brother, like,
yeah.
That it was just adorable. I was like, oh,
she was super happy.
I did also, as much as you didn't like all of the stunning that came with the opening scene, I definitely like the whole like breaking in and
oh yeah. I mean, minus the stunning, it was
oh
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like, this is how we're gonna start an episode, all right.
Yeah. Like minus the stunning, the combat in it was flipping awesome in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, better than the Mandalorian's combat for this episode at least. But I mean,
can we just
it's different. It's different.
Also acknowledge the fact that the dude is trying to like talk Hunter and everybody into staying. Like, oh yeah, Wrecker's become a very Wrecker is living his best life right now. He was so happy throwing that fish down and being like, I caught dinner. And then he like ran off with the other people.
That sucker was huge too.
Right? He ran off with the kids, not the people. He ran off to go play with the kids.
That fish was bigger than Tech.
And the fact that the guy, like, I can't remember his name for the life of me. The mayor, for all intents and purposes, he's like sitting there trying to talk Hunter into staying, like, oh, are you sure you don't want to make this your permanent residence? Like, you sure? Hunter or Wrecker's become a very integral part of the community.
But I think Hunter's right. Like, if they stay there, it's only going to be a matter of time before the Empire finds them, kills everybody there, or ruins it for everybody. Maybe not kills everybody, but definitely ruins it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, whoever isn't killed is enslaved.
Yeah.
But
any parts you didn't like?
I do think that they would for as long as they could stay there, they would be extremely happy. Everybody would be happy. I think that what's her name? Wanda Sykes' character really got through to Hunter when she's like, Omega really needs to be around people her own age. Like, do you think that this is what's best for her? I would be slightly upset. It may not happen this way because knowing Filoni sense, it's not going to happen this way probably. But Hunter taking a step back and being like, okay, Omega, we're going to go, but you need to stay here. This is what's best for you.
I mean, I can't argue with that. I think you're right.
Hunter has grown very, very attached to Omega, but Wanda Sykes' character being like, this really what she needs? Is this really what's best for her? And then them staying and seeing the development in Omega and everything. Omega will probably like fight it and be like, no, I'm coming with you. I want to go with you. Like, you guys are family. But I would be surprised if Hunter didn't have like an internal battle with himself about taking Omega when they do eventually leave.
I mean, that's all. The only problem I have with that is the fact that the Empire is looking for her. And so I like leaving her there. They can't protect her from the Empire.
And
the
that's
Bad
probably,
Batch might be able to.
And that's probably where Hunter's initial, like, it's if it does go that way of that, then that's probably where Hunter's gonna be like, okay, no, like, she has to come with us until we get everything settled down. But I think it might be an internal battle, because you've seen Hunter get softer towards Omega, you know, in the first few, you know, episodes in the first season, all of that. Like, it was a lot of, Omega, don't do this. Omega, don't do that. We're going to go do this. You stay at the ship, all of this. And then we saw it in that episode where they're like, he looks and goes, Omega, you go with him. You make sure that he's, you know, being good, that he's sticking to the agreement, all of that. So you see him kind of soften up a little bit with Omega, and I like that.
I agree with Team Leader. He says, I just like the part with the doctor and the gas, the way he acted about being immune. I totally agree. I cannot stand that. His cockiness, the way he looks, I don't like his character so far. I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of development behind it, and there's going to be more to it. But I do not like his cockiness behind, oh, yeah, you like this gas? I'm immune to it. Well, shut the hell up.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
You're going to die. That's all I'm going to say is you're going to die.
Like, do we want to rehash, like, the last douchebag that says things to, like, Crosshair or anybody? Like,
well, at the same time,
survive long.
Would it have been so difficult for him to walk in with a gas mask on? Like,
okay, it wouldn't have. So CJ does not like Star Trek, so he's already gonna hate this.
Watch it, Tori. Watch it.
So, douchey commanders are to Star Wars what the red shirt is to Star Trek. They always die.
Don't know what you're talking about. Never watched it. Never will.
Neither do I.
So Star Trek, you have different colored shirts. You have red, blue, green, or not green, red, blue, yellow, and whatever. Like, it's just basically saying your ranking.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your ranking.
Cool. You get a red shirt. This is your promotion.
There was Captain Kirk. You know, all of that. Captain Kirk had yellow on. The constant in all of the Star Treks, all of them, was that the red shirt was the one to die. If you were wearing a red shirt, you were dying. So the douchey commanders, the douchey Imperial people, they're the red shirt in Star Wars.
Tarkin does die.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chris, definitely major Nazi vibes.
Yeah.
So what other parts did you not like? For me, when Omega comes to land, there's literally people under the ship, and she's just dropping, and these people are running for their fucking lives.
Like, Omega gave zero.
I liked that because that was really, like, that's a realistic moment. It was like, hold on, don't run. Like, dude, she landed really bad this last time.
Bro, she was coming in hot, and everybody was like, dude, she did not see it.
I'm not gonna lie. She probably has some people in the infirmary ward because she landed bad the first time, and that's why they all scattered the second time. I'm not gonna lie.
You could feel, like, through, I know it's a cartoon, but, like, you could feel the anxiety of the people, like, shit.
Yeah. All right. So, any other negative thoughts, I guess?
Other than it felt too short for me.
Short, definitely rushed for what we were talking about. But that's because
it wasn't like overly rushed. But they could have slowed it down.
I wish I would have had more build up for what we're getting to. You know
what I mean? You dramatically
rushed into this.
Yeah, you dramatically like slammed us right into this episode.
Yeah.
You didn't build like you gave us a Crosshair moment a couple episodes back. That seemed like a filler. And then you now see that obviously it's not a filler. It's a little bit of a tie-in. but you shouldn't have given us 2 fillers before that, you know? It was hard to build that story continuously.
Chris says Omega was zero awareness of the people behind her with those thrusters. Gonna burn someone to a crisp and say, oops. Yeah, we're gonna have Anakin Part 2.
Oh no.
I'm just saying, like, there's people in the infirmary on that island because she fucked up the first time. That's all I've got to say.
For sure, dude. She was, especially with her landing, I swear, how did she not crush someone? I'm still shocked about that. All right, rankings. First, I'll give Kyle's ranking just because he's not here. He did give me his ranking. He ranked it an 8. He thought crosshair scenes were phenomenal, as did I. He loved how, quote, crosshair fucked them up. He liked how Rex and Echo were back, and we're kind of he's excited that we might get them all together again. We finally had a story-driven episode that wasn't so much filler like we normally have had. And then obviously we're back on track with what's going on with the Empire. So he had it at an 8.
Ignore my son bawling in the background.
He's upset because I wouldn't let him get on camera while he was butt naked because he just got out of the bath.
Yeah, probably smart on that one.
Yeah, that's...
So
right,
he's
so
the door is closed. He's just sitting on the direct other side of it, just losing.
I'm sorry. So, well, Tori, we'll let you get to your ranking then, in case something happens.
Right.
I liked it. I'll give it about a 6. Like I said, I had to like rewatch it like 4 times because I kept falling asleep. And I don't know if that's just me or Bad Batch, because that's now happened like 3 times in a row now, 3 weeks in a row. But I'd give it a solid 6.
All right, 6. CJ?
I'm at a 7. I was
7.
between 6.5 and 7. I mean, like I said, it was rushed. They could have given us 5, maybe 6 minutes more. But, you know, you kind of slammed it, threw it out there, and you're like, here, enjoy this. This is going to be awesome, but it's going to be short. It's going to be short. And that's what it was. But I mean, it's giving us redemption of Crosshair, which a lot of people have been wanting. Is like, is Crosshair going to be fully back, or is he going to do something to sacrifice himself? Is he, you know, there's so many speculations behind it. I'm all over Instagram and Twitter and the Reddit pages. They're screaming that he's going to come back, and then there's other people like, no, he's going to sacrifice himself because Omega's going to get captured, and then the Doctor's going to shoot her after he's done experimenting, and Crosshair saves her. And it's like, I don't care at this point, but just make sure the story's fluent, and I will appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I also put it at a 7. It wasn't perfect. I feel like we've kind of rushed into the story, but with Crosshair, Echo, and Tech boarding the ship, the little bit of like fighting we did see, and then now that we're finally progressing on a solid storyline, definitely more excited. So I put it at 7 too.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anything else on Bad Batch before we go to Mandalorian?
No?
Let's see. So, Chris said Omega with 0 awareness of the people behind her with those thrusters. Gonna burn someone to a crisp and say, oops. Team leader could have seen more of the prison, and who are the other clones that were in there?
Good point.
Chris says it was also kind of on the people for standing in the middle of a damn landing zone, which, I mean, yes.
Yeah,
Chris
that's about fair.
Chris puts it at a 7. Clinton is about a 7 or a 7.5. Team leader is 8. Kyle, hello, says both of them were awesome.
All right. Well, let's get on to Mandalorian season 3.
Mando!
The Foundling. It was not bad. It was better than the last episode we had for sure, but that's not saying much.
Yeah. I liked the last episode. I think it's better, way better. I think it's way better than the last episode. But I like the last episode because it's going to start tying into things more.
That's true.
Because we saw Dr. Pershing in season 1, and we saw the Commander in season 1 and season 2. Now there's no more Dr. Pershing because he's gonna be freaking dead.
Well,
God.
okay, Star Wars team leader makes a great point. He says, OMG, leave the freaking boy for a whole day in the bird's belly before he spits him up. That had to be nasty. Bro, how is the kid not dead? I'm
breathing. So with Mandalorian armor, they have you know how in Book of Boba Fett it shows that he shoves the oxygen tube. So they have a censored kind of oxygen supply built into their helmets.
No.
So he has
But like the stomach
Eaten
acid.
him yet? Yeah. How have they not eaten him yet? Is what I'm saying. Like, why? Like, if I'm going to rescue the kid, I'm not sitting down around a campfire. No, I'm going to rescue him. This kid's about to get eaten. We need to be there yesterday. Okay?
Also,
we don't
the
got
fact
time.
that Vizsla just like he gave Bo-Katan the fire seat because he's like, hey, you're the leader of the party, blah 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 blah. You get the honor of sitting at the fire and eating, and then just is like, fuck that. That's my kid. Screw you and your leadership. I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want to do, and just fuck the whole thing up.
Well, and I'm glad that the fans were right. I've been seeing a lot of comments about the fans online that saying that that's Paz's son, which it was. It's Ragnar.
Well,
Vizsla.
You can tell by the similarities of the helmet, even.
Well, and that was the thing. We weren't sure at first. A lot of people were speculating. The fact that the speculations were accurate and true, I'm glad it was. I'm glad they just didn't give some kid another, Vizsla colored helmet and so on and so forth. That means Jon Favreau got it on with another Mando.
Yeah, there was just some slop. I'll start with, I guess, my negatives because there were some sloppy things I think in the episode. The first off, it was too short, dude. With all the stuff that they were talking about, bro, 30 minutes is not enough to go through Grogu's history.
32 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yeah, bro. Make it 40-something minutes. Like, too short.
I liked it.
I'm sorry. I don't think you can get, because Mandalorian in the past has been like 40 minutes usually, on average. And it seems like because they're shortening it down, it seems a lot more cheesy and a lot less thought through, a lot more simple and not as complex as it used to be. And that's
I think there's going to be more.
I
think there's going to be more to it, though. I think this short episode is building up for a big episode. I don't think they want to stretch it out and span it and make it heavy because we don't know what next week's going to bring. So, it could be a 48-minute episode.
Chris did bring
Tori,
that up.
Go for it.
He says, while I thought the episode was decent, I'm a little concerned that we're halfway through the season already and it doesn't seem like there is a definitive plot. I'm afraid it's going to turn into Book of Boba Fett.
Or Bad Batch.
I don't
think it's going to.
Either one.
But I agree, dude. I think
but that's
the episodes are too short.
We did see that with Boba Fett, though, too, is where we had pretty much no plot, nothing. And then everything was smashed into 2 last episodes. Well, mainly 1 last episode. And I kind of agree.
That's a good point.
I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think right now with Bo-Katan being with the Children of the Watch, I when you watch the trailer, you see them drop down out of that ship. So are we going to get a all-out war on Mandalore? Is she just trying to gain the trust so she can take the siege to Mandalore and take Mandalore over and kill the armorer? There's so much to this we're not looking at. We can speculate all day. We can talk about this all day. But I'm not mad at the 32-minute, 58-second episode because next episode, 10-1, is going to be that 40, 45-minute episode that we normally get. There's going to be more to it, especially with Din. I think they will. I think this was just a building of trust kind of thing for Bo-Katan, especially since Bo-Katan led the war party, followed the bird, saved a child's life. She's gaining the trust of the Children of the Watch, and we're getting more development on Grogu's end also. So there's a lot to this.
Especially because we already know how Bo-Katan feels about the Children of the Watch. When we saw that in season 1, I believe. Yeah, season 1, where it was, oh, you're one of those. That's not
season 2.
It was 2? I thought it was 1. Oh, whatever. About how, you're one of those. Like, you can take off your helmet. It's fine. And Mando was like, yeah, kind of, fuck you. But now she's entertaining the rules. We know she thinks they're stupid. She knows that that's not, like, we know that she's like, that's not how Mandalorians are. That's not what we are. This is a completely sideways from what we know on Mandalore. And she's kind of entertaining it. Like we see her at, like, she's asking the questions to Din. How do you eat when there's other people around? How do you do this? How do you do that? Like, oh, you just take your food and run away. Like,
I don't know if it's her actually considering joining them, but I do like how final, like, because normally I don't know. I like how we're seeing 2 different cultures kind of learn about each other and get along.
I wasn't trying to say it was like her trying to join them. It was more of the entertaining them for a bigger purpose later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and like when she came off of her ship and she's like, oh, I have 3 more foundlings for you, actually. And she's got the baby birds. Okay, we know that Mandalorians are very big about animals and learning to trust animals and use huge animals for battle. We know this. The Mythosaur. We see it in season 1 of Mando when he meets freaking Ugnaught. He rides the blurgs. We see it again later on. We just see it, we see it a lot because animals are a crucial part. That's how they did. Right. That's how they founded Mandalore. So for Bo-Katan to kind of, hey, you guys like animals? Let's go take these birds out of that nest and have them get trained up and raised. That way you have something to battle with if you don't have a ship. It's kind of she's trying to like nitpick and trigger these traditional Mandalorian ways that we know about and have read about and heard about, and trying to appease the armor, which I think the armor knows better, and is just entertaining Bo-Katan as Bo-Katan is entertaining her, and the way their rules are. I think they're both trying to benefit off of each other, not thinking that one of them is the wiser.
Yeah.
Right. Real quick, going to the chat. Chris says, I guess I assume the whole season was going to be about Din Djarin's journey to redemption as a Mandalorian, but that's happened in the first 2 episodes. Now he's just chilling. I agree. I feel like all the previews for this season were about that redemption arc, and we're already done with it, and now we don't know where we're going.
But we don't know if we're done with that, though. What if something is to happen to the point where he has to be redeemed again? Like, what if...
Oh, that's easy.
Hold on. Well, that's easy, but what if Bo-Katan can trick him out of getting redeemed? Like, you see how she is towards me. You see that we can take Mandalore. You see that Mandalore, you can take your helmet off on Mandalore. She's crazy. You can't listen to her. Like, there's going to be an inner conflict because Bo-Katan's going to end up taking off her helmet.
Oh yeah.
She's a princess, for God's sakes. She does not wear her helmet all the time.
Well, I think she's just doing it while she's with them because she has to.
Yeah.
And then Chris says, I think we've also hit our quota for big creatures fucking up the day, unless the Mythosaur wants to make another appearance. I agree, dude. We're getting a little carried away with like these big dinosaur creatures. Like, come on, can we just get back to like?
But at the same time, it really triggers that Mandalorian lore.
That's a great point, CJ.
It's just if you really read into it, like
you're just a slut for the Mandalorians.
That's true.
It's one of my favorite
burnt
cultures.
out of it. But CJ, CJ knows Mandalorians, and he knows that animals are a big part of their culture. So
it's just like they had the Basilisk war. They had the Basilisk war droids. They were aliens turned robot battle droids after the Mythosaur went extinct. They went and enslaved a planet, took the Basilisk war droids from the planet, and would go and conquer. I mean, this is all extended universe stuff, but it's just the fact that it's a thing. Like, animals are a big thing, and I love animals.
So really quickly, team leader says the way they made her Mythosaur pin, Disney made it that way to sell them.
Yes.
Bodhi Bodhi showed up. Damn it, I'm salty. I'm late. Did you rate the episode already? We did rate Bad Batch.
Yes.
Just not
Not
Mando
Boba
yet.
Fett, or not Mando yet.
Chris says, do you think they're giving Bo-Katan the Boba Fett treatment? It seems like she kind of switched her opinion on this whole Children of the Watch cult pretty quick. I like
Once
you know,
again,
Garrison and I were and CJ a little bit like
Bodhi's fanboying pretty hard.
right.
Hey man, I'm right there with you, Bodhi. I'm right there with you.
Chris, I don't think she's changing her mind. I think that it's more of she's trying to do the quid pro quo type thing. She's trying to stay under the radar and do what she has to do so that she can benefit at the end.
Right.
Because that is what Bo-Katan is known for in the Star Wars universe.
I honestly feel, like I said, with the animal thing, I feel like those birds are going to tie in, obviously, because I think we're going to leap in. I think it's going to be a leap of time with the Children of the Watch, and then we're going to turn into the siege of, like, taking back Mandalore. And it's going to be, you got to think that in that whole space, the Mandalorian sector is Imperial ran. We saw it on Bo-Katan's moon where her palace was. There was nothing but an Imperial Starfleet right there. So think about it. It's still Imperial ran. The Republic, or the New Republic, hasn't done anything with it. They haven't went out to try to liberate it. So we're really kind of seeing that. I think it's going to be Mandalorian versus the remnants of the Empire to take Mandalore fully back. And
maybe.
And rebuild.
Well,
because
but you gotta think.
She was also so brokenhearted when she was taking Mando down, and she was like, "This was once an amazing city, a great city."
Grogu.
And she was, it was Grogu, not
yeah.
Din. But you know, this used to be such a great city, and you know, thrived, and she was emotional about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if she would gain the trust that she got by following along with the Children of the Watch to eventually kind of turn a few of them and say, hey, we could do this on Mandalore.
Well,
and I don't see that with Din, with Din having those readouts on the N1 Starfighter from R5, he can give them proof stating, we can take our helmets off. It's habitable again. We can take the planet back. We don't have to be in the bubble cities. We can be open again. The destruction, the Night of 1,000 Tears rebuilt the planet. We can walk around and not have to wear our helmets, or we can walk around and not have to use an air support system. We don't have to have the dome cities anymore. We can build Mandalore the way it was before we had to go into the dome cities because of the destruction that we caused. Yeah. So I think it's good. I want to get into Grogu. Can we get into Grogu's little
That's what I was trying to do. I've been trying to talk about this for the past 20 minutes. I'm pumped that Jar Jar Binks is back. Jar Jar Binks is a Jedi changeling. I'm just kidding. But I was
Ahmad Best.
Ahmad Best is in there.
Oh, yes. Man. The second I saw him, so like... Oh, go ahead, Garrison.
No, I was pumped to see him. I read an article from IGN is how the Mandalorian gives like Ahmad Best like a chance at redemption. Okay, it's not redemption, bro. Ahmad Best has always been great. But it was definitely good to see him again.
So what kills me is like last week, like I said in the chat last week, he was on an interview and he was just talking. He's like, oh, I'd always love to come back for Star Wars. You know, if they ever welcomed me back, I would love to come back. Even if it was just something in being in the background, I would love to be back in Star Wars. And then next thing you know, the motherfucker is a Jedi. Yeah. And it's like, oh, dude, you really had me fooled because I didn't think they were going to bring you back. And now you're back, and you're a Jedi.
I honestly believe,
and not only just a Jedi, but the Jedi that saved Grogu.
Right, and I think we might see more of him. I'm not gonna lie.
He saved him with the Naboo guard, which Tori caught and said in the chat. I kind of thought it was at first, and then I saw the Naboo starfighter, or not the starfighter, but the Naboo ship, and I was like, "Why is Padme's ship and guard saving? What is going on here?" And then I thought about it. I said, okay, at this time, Anakin is going to Mustafar. Obi-Wan has sent the transmission. People are escaping. 10-1, Captain Panaka and or what's his name? He's Leia's dad, Bail Organa. Bail Organa sent ships off of loading docks around the Jedi Temple to start getting getting them out of there. Which I wouldn't put it past Bail Organa at all, because that's just his attitude towards things. He knows better. So I thought that was just crazy to see the new Naboo Guard versus Clone Troopers to get Grogu and Ahmad Best the hell out of there.
That's
Man.
It was really funny because CJ, he brought up the chat, and I was sitting there. I was like, "Were those Naberian guards?" And everybody was like, "Wait, what?" Like that was my first thing. As soon as they came on the screen, I was like, "Those are." Wait, that's the burgundy color. Those are from Naboo. Those are Naberian guards. And then I saw the ship, and I was like, "Oh, they're going. Right. They might be going to Naboo. They might be hiding away. They might be hiding in down with the Gungan City."
Yeah,
that gives Ahmad Best to come back a little bit more and play a Gungan.
And it gave me a lot of hope, because for Disney, it was like fan service, but not too much fan service. It's like,
it was just a thank you.
Yeah, it's like we have the Naboo Guard that we've seen again. It's not a Jedi that we've seen before. It's a new Jedi, but it's an actor that we've seen before, and an actor that did a good job and gave his all in Star Wars, despite the reception that he got.
He got such a bad reception. He contemplated suicide at one point because of the hate. And the fact that Disney and Star Wars and Lucasfilm was like, nah, we ain't giving up on you. You didn't give up on life. We're not giving up on you. You're coming back. We just got to figure out what we want to do with you. And to make him a powerful Jedi that saves Grogu was probably the biggest thank you Disney and Lucasfilm could do for him.
Have you guys seen, I know CJ has, Garrison, have you seen the behind the scenes video of him with the Jar Jar hat on at the dinner table? That was every time I see it, I'm like, how did they not crack up?
Dude.
And I understand, because I did the whole drama club. I did all of that. I went to the college over here, and I was doing stuff in film and all of that stuff, and acting and all of that over there for the tech side of it. And I'm just sitting there, I was like, I understand that this is your guys' job, and I understand that there's thousands of takes for one thing before it actually is nobody's laughing. But how the hell do you guys not laugh every damn time? Just him just looking blank stare, just, oh yeah, it's good suit.
I don't know. If I was Jake Lloyd, who obviously the fans know was Anakin Skywalker, I couldn't help but laugh, especially sitting right next to him.
And I'd be aging 10.
Yeah, I couldn't help but laugh. Every time I would look at me and be like, dude, you look fucking ridiculous.
Imagine Bodhi and Lenny both. Darth Jar Jar. Imagine they make Darth Jar Jar canon and he fights himself.
Oh, jeez.
No.
I don't want that to happen, but I'm glad to see Ahmad Best. It was, it brought warm feelings to my heart. It was just enough fan service without being cheesy and stupid. It was just class act. That was great.
I loved the training sequence with Grogu and Ragnar. And Grogu gets hit with the first dart, and he's like, and he looks at Din like, what are you doing?
Don't look at me.
Bro, I thought it was stupid. It literally looked like the kid was moving in slow motion. Grogu jumps over him, jumps back, and the kid doesn't even move.
Well, to be fair, you probably wouldn't either if you're growing up in this cult, in this very closed off sect of people, and then all of a sudden you have this teeny tiny little green fucking frog creature jump back over you with ease, and he's sitting at your shins. I probably would be
especially not knowing that he's the only person that knows that he's force sensitive is the armorer. Everybody else doesn't know. They just know that Din saved this baby, and now this baby's his.
I do like the fact that he looked at Din, and Din's like, "No, do it." Gave him permission. He's like, "No, show them what you can do. Use it. Use it to your advantage."
I thought he was gonna get mad and force choke Ragnar at first. I was like, he's gonna get pissed and just just force choke him for a second. And then the
Chris.
fact that he jumped over, jumped back, shot him 3 times. And it was like,
Oh, God.
and like walked away.
Chris, I did not.
So
What?
Chris
Oh, God.
slightly angers me and slightly satisfies a little bit. If that was Padme's ship, imagine if Grogu was on the ship when Padme went to Mustafar, and it was actually Grogu that force pushed Anakin mid-jump to let Kenobi finish him.
Please no. That would be so
That would be dumb.
That's too much.
That would
Yeah.
break.
Too much.
That would break so much continuity. That would screw up everything George did. Leave what George did alone, but you can add to it.
No.
Just
Do
get
not-
it changed.
Hold on.
Add to it? That's how we got the sequels.
Add to it as it makes sense when you add to it. Like, look at the season 7 of Clone Wars. They added to what George did. They give it a good, proper goodbye. They're not doing so hot with the Bad Batch at the moment, but it could flip. Tales of the Jedi was an add-on from Clone Wars. They did a very good thing with Tales of the Jedi because that's a lot of what George wrote and George talked about writing and let people write about in books. So to see that kind of come into the cartoon form, that's fine. If you're gonna do it with live action, don't fuck it up. That's all I gotta ask. That's just all I've got to ask is make sure it makes sense. But I don't think he was on Mustafar. And Padme didn't take that ship to Mustafar. Hers was a lot bigger. Her ship is Senator's ship. That's why Anakin knew that was her coming in. That was a smaller form of her ship. I think that was more of like a handmaiden security guard follow ship. Especially with how bougie the Nabooian people are, everything's chrome. Everything's chrome.
Oh yeah.
I'd hate to be the guy that waxes and cleans those things. Not gonna lie.
They probably are the reason that Windex exists today.
All right. So, what were our favorite parts of the episode?
Oh, my favorite, like I have 3. My first favorite part is the Iron Man approach to saving Ragnar from that big ass bird. Thank you, Jon Favreau, for being the Iron Man creator and giving us a little bit of Iron Man in that moment. Honestly, it was a great scene. I didn't like how they killed the bird, really. I mean, they just used a big ass crocodile to kill the bird, but whatever. I love the flashback with the Mod Best. I think that was probably hands down a big thank you. I want to say thank you to Lucasfilm for that because he deserves that kind of recognition now. After everything that he's been through, all the hate, all the darkness, even going to celebrations and talking and meeting people and like getting through his darkness and contemplation of suicide, for him to be brought back and be a powerful Jedi to save Grogu is a big thank you from me.
Yeah.
And then my last part is when they gave him the mudhorn signet and put it on his chainmail.
Yes.
Even though that thing was like bigger than he was.
Well, and I think the armorer knows he's going to grow into it, and sooner or later that's going to be melted down and turned into a shoulder plate. But still, it was one of my favorite things. Like, he seemed so proud when he looked down and then looked back up at her. He just seemed proud. Like, yes, I am the clan of 2. I am part of the Mudhorn clan. And it was honestly nice.
It
What about
does
you?
really throw me though that like she's the armorer and she makes all of these plates like to the bodies, but his was just a big circle on his chest.
He looked like 2
There's
Chainz.
there is no like movement. There is nothing. Just a big circle
No, he looked like Flavor Flav with the big old clock.
of the cloth.
What about you?
Oh,
Ty?
that's a big nod back to my childhood.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I did like the scene about, as much as Garrison nitpicks it, I do like the little scene of him in the little duel with Ragnar. That was his name?
Yes.
Yeah, Ragnar.
Ragnar Vizsla.
Yeah. I was thinking Ragnarok for something in my head, and I was like, nope, that's Norse.
That Ragnar is Norse, but yes. Sorry.
But I do like that little duel scene. Like, it was just kind of a cute little, like, no, do it. Show him what you can do. Do it. And, you know, I enjoy the fact that Bo-Katan, like, she is so sweet to him. And it's, you know, she could see that Grogu was a little bit hesitant and everything. And she's like, it's okay. My dad used to make me do it too. Like, my dad was the same way. Like, she has that cute little connection. And I was not a huge Bo-Katan fan. CJ has been trying to get me into Bo-Katan for the past forever now. And it was after, I believe it was last episode, where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like Bo-Katan. And he's like, yes, finally. I do. It's really cute.
I was like, so happy.
It's really cute to see her just go from, you know, oh, well, you're stupid for believing this way, to, okay, well, now I'm in a deep hole of depression. And now it's, okay, well, I love you, little tiny creature. You're weird and you're funny looking and you annoy the shit out of me, but you're adorable and I love you. Like, there's, and I love Bo-Katan, okay?
Yes.
But I did like that little.
So hard.
I did like that little scene where it was, you know, it's okay. My dad made me do it too. My dad was the same way. That was honestly my favorite part outside of the flashback, because I really did enjoy that flashback. It made me sad at first until I realized fully what was going on, because you could see Grogu start to have like Vietnam flashbacks as the armorer was sitting there talking. And I was like, oh no, he's getting sad. Like, what's going on? And then you started to see like the small little flashes before it went into the huge cutscene flashback. And I was like, oh no. But just that whole thing, like watch the whole scene from the temple was amazing. First of all, how was there like 7 Jedis in this temple fighting off the exact same amount of troopers as Ahmad Best, and Ahmad was able to get away, but the rest of them died? Like, how is that? Like, that's my sister-in-law. Caitlin was downstairs and we're watching this together, and she's like, oh, who's that? And I was like, a fucking badass.
Did anybody also get the nod to the first season when he goes to the armorer and it gives his flashbacks to the Death Watch saving him? Yep. It gave me that nod again when she's sitting there using the machines and stuff, and it's sparking. I was like, oh, season 1 but with Grogu. Oh, this is neat. Like, flashback trauma.
Chris, Grogu starts hearing Fortunate Son while thinking of Order 66.
Right. And then I think my favorite part was just definitely bringing back Ahmad Best. I thought that was class act. It was great. Love seeing him. I love the fact that we didn't have, like, we had a brand new Jedi that we don't know, we haven't seen before. They didn't try to push it and bring in some random Legends character or book character. They kept it simple. It didn't have to be someone crazy or someone familiar or someone fans are like, you know what I mean? It didn't have to be too fan service.
It could have been.
Hold on. It was just a regular Jedi that we haven't seen before. I just like that. I like that we don't have to constantly bring in characters from all over the flippin' Filoni-verse. We can have some unknown people for once. I like that.
I wouldn't have been mad to see Quinlan Vos, because in Kenobi we see that he's rescuing, you know, Force-sensitive people and Padawans and survivors. I wouldn't have been mad to see Quinlan Vos do it. But I am extremely grateful and thankful to Lucasfilm and Disney for bringing Ahmad Best in and making him such a badass. Even if it was for a minute and a half. You gave us a minute and a half of redemption for Ahmad Best and the torture he went through. So,
all right.
I'm just grateful.
Rankings. First, I'll go over Kyle's real quick. Kyle ranked it a 7. He liked that we finally Kyle ranked it a 7. We left it at a good cliffhanger. We're back to Mando, and we're not talking about the other storyline that CJ likes, but we didn't. although he did say it was kind of a weak storyline, kind of was a bit of a filler episode. But he did like how he brought the Mando guards in and the Mandalorian plate thing that Grogu got. He was a little bummed, though, that we didn't see Anakin coming through the door.
He's always going to be bummed. He loves when Anakin does Anakin shit. I love him to death, and I love Anakin.
Is like your infatuation with Mandalorians. I think
Or
it's
Ben Swallow.
No,
mine with what?
Ben Swallow.
No, I don't like Ben Swallow. I just
Oh yeah. Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You can go, babe.
I'm gonna go a solid like 8.5. I truly enjoyed it.
8 or 8.5. I
Yes.
needed solid one. I'm averaging these.
God, pick one.
All right, 8. You're down at 8.
Okay. Yeah, just go do yours and then I'll go through the chat really quick.
All right.
I honestly am going to give it an 8. I enjoyed it. It was a great, like I said, the Ahmad Best thing kind of topped it. If they wouldn't have done that and they would have just given us that episode without that flashback, that trauma-ass flashback, I would have maybe given it a 6.5, 7, but with Ahmad Best and more of an explanation of how Grogu got out of there, I thought it was a big thank you. Like I said, I keep saying it, but thank you, for giving him that redemption per se. And that,
Right.
Hey man, they may have hated you in 99, but they fucking love you right now. And they will always love you. They're thankful that you're still here. They're thankful that you're in the show now as a Jedi and a Gungan. Like, you have 2 characters. Tell me how many people have 2 characters. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was awesome.
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis doesn't count. The man can do everything.
Andy Serkis.
But I think it was
Bradley
just
Baker?
that's Clone Wars. And
Oh yeah.
no, I'm talking about live
Animation doesn't
action.
count.
Okay.
Yeah,
Animation
I was
doesn't
like,
count.
I mean,
I'm talking
Some,
about
like,
live
steady
action wise.
fair
We
point,
don't
Tori, fair point.
live action
or
wise.
the
We
voice
don't.
for literally every single one of the clones. I mean,
That doesn't
That's
count. He's 30 million strong. But and a couple commanders and a couple other people, but not the point. I think honestly, it's going to tie in. It was a filler, but I think it was more of a trust builder because we kept seeing a lot of Bo-Katan, you're the leader of the party. Bo-Katan, you did this. Thank you. Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan. Now I think it's going to be something more when we go back to Mandalore because I know we're going to Mandalore. I think we're going to go to Navarro first. I think there's going to be a little bit of a pirate war on Navarro because we do see those pirates attacking things in the trailer. But I think it'll jump to Navarro and then will they take Mandalore completely by siege.
Well, on the same like that, on the same like train thought process of the whole Navarro thing, we saw in the trailer, it was huge at the beginning of this year of the season. Everybody was, Satine's coming into Mandalorian. Satine's coming into Mandalorian. That happened on Navarro. So I wonder if it's kind of backpacking off CJ of Mando and Bo-Katan get the children to all come out of hiding and go to Navarro because we see it in the trailer, kind of.
Well, yeah, we see them drop down to go protect Navarro. I think, like I said, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a big thing on Navarro. I think it's going to be a 2-episode, maybe. Well, how many episodes we have left? We're on episode, 4?
We're on episode right now. We're on episode that was 4, and I think we have
4.
10, right?
So I think it's going to be a 2-episode, maybe 3-episode arc where Navarro. It's going to be a siege on Navarro with the pirates because Mando kind of just jumped out of space after that whole thing and left Navarro kind of handicapped in that situation.
Right.
So I think it's going to be kind of an attack on Navarro. Death or the Children of the Watch, Mando are going to go save that, and then it's time to take Mandalore. I mean, if we can take Navarro and we can kill pirates, we can kill these crappy shooting stormtroopers and TIE fighter pilots and take our planet back. I think I think Navarro is going to be a test for the children of the Watch.
Somebody I can't find the person who said it in the chat, but somebody did say about how Mandalore would be a good place for them to hide out if they took Mandalore back because that constant storm cloud that's above it. Like there's radar can't get through that.
Yeah, but so neither can sunlight, and how are they going to live without food?
Well, and I also think with the construction of Mandalore and then rebuilding Mandalore, I think it'll clear that up. I think a lot of that's from the vapors from the ground. They're not toxic vapors, but it's enough vapor to affect the climate to a point where if they can clean up the planet itself and practically restore it to a sustainable living place, I think those clouds would go away.
Rank number. Did you
my
give
ranking.
your number?
No, I haven't. You guys like to get off on your Mandalorian, which is good. I'm not complaining.
I'm sorry.
CJ loves his Mandalore.
It's just my thing. It's a culture that the second I got into Boba Fett, I wanted to know more. And then when they came out with the Mandalorian, it was like, oh, more Mandalorian shit. This is gonna be awesome. I only have like 18 books. Like, what?
What? I didn't say anything.
No, I'm seeing her shake her head. She can shake her head all she wants.
Garrison, your thoughts.
Yes, your thoughts.
I didn't rank it as high as you guys. Now let me explain why. I've already said all the parts I liked about it, but I agree with Chris. I think this Mandalorian seems very discombobulated. It seems like a lot of vomit. It seems like the writers literally were figuring out as they went along. It seems like we don't have a plan for the story. It seems messy and sloppy and cheesy, to be frankly honest. Again, this episode felt rushed, too short for the amount of stuff that they were talking about. There was early on, there's no urgency to go rescue the kid. But then when they climb to the top, oh, now let's go charging forward like crazy. Chances are that kid's probably going to get eaten by then.
And you got to also take into account on that part, though, is that Din sat there and turned on his vision on that helmet. Yeah, his thermal on the helmet. And, there's a heat signature over there. And as a father, me being a dad, if I got picked up a heat signature and I'm thinking my son's there, I'm probably going to do the same thing. I have a big ass gun.
At the same time, you literally spent an entire night just camping, saying, he'll be okay when we get there.
Yeah. Well,
where's the sense of urgency to rescue your kid?
Well, especially also because, it wasn't the whole search party. It wasn't the whole party that dipped out. It was just Vizsla, and he was like, "Fuck you, that's my kid. You said there was heat," and he just hauled ass. Yeah. And especially because it had already been said that this isn't the first child to be lost to the bird.
Yeah, we saw that. If you really paid attention, you see the helmet of
there was another helmet.
Yeah, you see the kid's helmet. Yeah. So I think I get where you're coming from with it. I think it was kind of why, Paz? You're you talk about strategy, you talk about being a tactician kind of deal, but you've never shown it. We saw it in Book of Boba Fett. We see it now. You're kind of sloppy.
Also,
hold on. Let's let Garrison finish before we get into that.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
So no sense of urgency. They literally waited 12 hours to rescue him the next day, and then he rushed it. Come on, that makes no sense. That was the first one. The second one was they're not allowed to shoot at the thing. This thing is massive. You can shoot at him without hitting the kid. Number one. Number two, you're shooting darts at it with rope. How do you know that's not going to hit the kid? What's the difference between that and a blaster?
Well, I think honestly, we don't know. Oh, I'm not getting into this. Never mind.
The next part, when they're chasing Ahmad Best and Grogu through the Coruscant city and shooting at him, they're literally shooting cannons at him in the middle of the city, which I don't know. Sure, maybe they're really desperate to get him. But then he lands, and instead of shooting and blowing up the entire platform, they decide to land and get out too. Like, all right, if we're shooting to kill, why not just blow up the entire platform? Why are we getting out and just making it?
Why not blow up the ship? If you see him land towards a ship, blow up the ship.
Exactly. Like we've had
You
no
can't
problem.
miss it.
We've had no problem missing him and blowing up fucking buildings in Coruscant, risking millions of dollars in damage and civilian casualties. But meanwhile, once he lands and there's just one little platform, and we could blow up the whole platform with one shot. Instead, we're gonna land and have a little firefight on the platform. Like, come on.
But we also don't know if there's a plan for Palpatine to take the baby either, though.
I mean, they were shooting at him before.
Well, I think that we don't know that, though. We don't know if Palpatine has a plan with Grogu.
Yeah, but
because the Empire
they were
is so
chasing him through
infatuated
the
with
entire
him.
Coruscant, shooting at him. Why stop shooting at him now? Like,
Ugh.
that just didn't make sense to me. So with all the plus the overall story, we don't know where we're going. It feels a lot like Book of Boba Fett, a lot like Bad Batch. What is the point? Where are we going? Because of that, I'm giving it a 6.
Oh, ouch.
Yes.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's higher than I thought you were gonna go.
Same.
Oh yeah. I mean, I still liked it. I'm still glad we had the flashbacks. Ahmad Best did great. Some more Mandalorian stuff, but overall, I couldn't go higher than a 6 just because it just feels kind of sloppy.
I liked the nods to the helmet. Like the helmet. Like, why doesn't he have a helmet? Because he can't say the creed.
Right. I did like that too. I was like, it's a different. Like, he hasn't taken the creed yet, so.
Well,
Plus,
he can't.
I was glad to shut that little kid up. He's like narrow-minded. Come on, shut up.
Well, he's not wearing a helmet. Why doesn't he have a helmet?
Yeah.
Because he can't speak the creed. He's only said this is the way one time, and even then, it wasn't very audible. Like, shut up, Ragnar. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't even know this kid. We don't even know you.
And with that, I did want to mention Kyle did have a prediction that he was telling me about. He thinks that what's her name? Bo-Katan is going to try to go back, and he thinks that the Mask of Mandalore is being guarded by that.
I did see that in the chat.
Guarded under the water. And so she's going to go back, get herself killed, and somehow we're going to bring Boba Fett back in, and the Mask of Mandalore is going to be under there.
Which kills me. So when he pulled that up in the chat earlier, it cracked me up because I'm thinking about it because Revan's the one that took the Mask of Mandalore and hid it. That would be a big slap in the face. Revan just sneaks on the Mandalore, goes into the living waters, and buries the Mask of Mandalore under Mandalore. That's a big screw you to your culture. Like, you're gonna search the whole galaxy for this helmet. Little do you know, it's on your planet. Like,
I mean.
I wouldn't put it past Revan because Revan was actually very smart, but that's a big screw you, if anything.
So let's go back a little bit.
Yes. Before we move on to news or rumors or whatever.
Bodhi says, I'll admit the dragon was a bit much at first, but the babies joining them redeemed it for me and it gave it purpose.
Yes, it did.
Chris says, I'm also still on the prediction that Bo is going to challenge Din for the Darksaber in order to bring the Coven to her side and rebuild her clan. Team leader, yes, I really thought, what's his name? Vizsla was tricking her by letting her sit by the fire so he can walk back up on her with her helmet off so she would be kicked back out.
Well, I don't think she'd be kicked out by then. I think he would get questioned by the armor, and he doesn't like to. He doesn't seem like the guy to kind of do that. Yeah,
that was a dick move. Damn.
Well, even then, it's kind of an insult to your religion. It's like, hi, I'm Catholic, but I'm gonna go do this. That's against, what I believe in.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's a big slap in the face, if anything, if he was to do that, which the Vizsla clan is very sneaky and very conniving. So, I mean, it's a toss-up. I mean, it could happen. It couldn't happen. Who knows?
Team leader also says, I'm just so glad they didn't have him grab the last paintball with the Force.
I would have laughed so hard, though.
Bodhi says, a lot of what I was expecting to happen hasn't happened, but I'm still pleased so far. I would like to see Bo stick to her roots. Chris made a joke. Haha, Naboo's main export, stainless steel cleaner. Team leader does agree that he liked it, how when they were following the bird, they all kept running out of fuel and it gave it realism.
Yes.
Bodhi, the thing I realized too is Bo hasn't brought up she did dirt with Vizsla clan and now she's converted with them.
Right. So let's get to news and rumors then, yeah?
I have one thing. Other than that, it's all been about, you know.
Should I
Let's
click
just
the
get
button
into
real
it.
quick first? Yeah,
Hit the
click
button.
This is Alton Castle for the only news you need, the HoloNet News.
Actually, really quick, CJ, this is a question for you. Kyle kind of hit it in the comments. Revan didn't have it last, though, right? Didn't Ordo have it? Kyle says Revan and he said Ortiz.
Clan
I'm
Ordo.
assuming he said Ordo. Revan and
Clan
Ordo found
Ordo.
the mask after Revan and Ordo became the Mandalore.
But it's also been stated that Revan took the mask and hid it. So, I mean, we don't know. We don't know what John and Dave are going to do with that because we haven't got that part of the Disney takeover solidified. In the expanded universe, there's a lot to it right now. We don't know. So, it's a toss-up. It just depends on what John and Dave want to do.
All right. Well, I found two things. The first one, there are rumors that the directors from Everything Everywhere All at Once, the movie that won a shit ton of Oscars, they're supposed to be directing one or more Skeleton Crew episodes.
Which I think is going to be
we'll
great
see.
because if you've seen the movie, it is beautiful. It won 7 Oscars. 7.
7. That's right. Now, I don't know. Just because you win an Oscar doesn't mean you're automatically great, in my opinion. But I mean, that's a solid track record. So it's probably going to be better than not, right?
But for your first mainstream movie,
Oh, yeah. No. I'm not saying an Oscar's useless. I'm just saying like Oscar doesn't always guarantee that it's.
oh yeah,
a good
but
movie.
like
You know
I
what
was
mean?
saying though, it was deemed an indie movie at first, and then it hit theaters and it won 7 for their first movie that they directed as a team. To win 7, I would like to see what they can do with the Star Wars property, because if they can bring that kind of beauty that they did in that movie and bring a lot of redemption to a lot of actors that were a part of that movie that have not been recognized, if they can bring that into a TV show and kind of give that same beauty, that same passion, I think it'd be great.
Right. And then the next one, which I see as kind of good news, well, good and bad news, I guess. The bad news is this next upcoming Star Wars movie, both the writers have left. Okay, both the screenwriters have left. But yeah, so who knows what the hell is going on? But on the bright side, they have a new writer on board. Okay, and that new writer is Stephen Knight, who, if you don't know, he wrote a lot of the screenplay for Peaky Blinders.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes.
So I don't know about you. I thought Peaky Blinders was very well written.
Yes.
Yes,
So
it was a
hopefully
very
we get that same kind of stuff in Star Wars. That I could watch that. That sounds exciting.
So, I have something. It's a little bit on the depressing side.
Oof.
So, Paul Grant, he was an Ewok in Return. He was a goblin in Harry Potter.
Yes.
He was Hoggle's stunt double for the Labyrinth. He unfortunately died today.
I don't think it was today because I saw that a little while ago.
Oh, he died on my birthday. Awesome. He died on Monday.
That was
Your favorite creature other than a Gungan, and the guy passed away on your birthday.
yeah. So that is unfortunate. Dang.
That is depressing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's great. It's fine.
CJ, or was that it, Tori? Sorry.
She kind of got the Paul Grant thing. Other than that, we've just been seeing a lot of love and a lot of just popularity towards Ahmad Best today.
Definitely.
Has been
man,
everywhere.
he deserves it.
He does. It. And that's all I've got to say. She kind of took the Grant one from me, but she's more of an Ewok fan than I am. And I figured she starts saying it, I'm going to let her run with it. But once again, I'm going to thank Disney and Lucasfilm and Star Wars for bringing Ahmad Best and giving him that moment that he truly deserved. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep repeating it. It was just a beautiful thank you for staying strong and keeping yourself amazing. And like, you're welcome for being a Jedi.
And more than that, keeping a good attitude. With all the shit he got, he had a good attitude. And I think that means a lot, especially in reflection of so much of Hollywood today. If a character's not well received, or if they don't get treated how they think they want to get treated, if they're not praised, they throw a fit. And they automatically have to jump like, oh, it's this reason or this reason. And they always have to complain. And I think that, I don't know, that's cool that he kept a good attitude. And look,
and it wasn't a good attitude until later on.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He
wasn't
happy at
he
first.
Got through everything, yeah.
But
after he seeked the help and the things that he needed to keep fighting forward, the fact that he would go to celebrations and sign autographs and meet fans, and then for him to turn around and Lucasfilm's like, "Hey, we saw your struggle. We saw your pain. We saw your hatred. The hatred towards you as a character. Here's this. If you want it, you can have it. If not, cool." And the fact that he was like, "Yeah, I got it. Cool. I'm going to be a fucking Jedi. And I'm going to do some cool crap. And I'm going to save the baby Yoda and the star of Star Wars right now." And I think that was just huge.
I like Chris's comment, like with the whole Peaky Blinders rider. We're going to have like Sith come in by order of the fucking Sith. That's a good one, Chris.
Really quickly, also, Chris did make another thing. Him and Brendan Fraser, it's Fraser, getting redeemed. Yes. That and the guy who played Short Round.
Yes, and he won an Oscar for that movie that was going to be writers for.
We won an Oscar.
When I thought I'm going to openly admit this. I called Tori when it happened. I watched both their Oscar speeches, and I cried. I cried because they were a big part of our childhood. The Goonies, Encino Man, The Mummy, Journey to the Center of the Earth. There's a lot of things that Brendan's done, and I can't remember the actor's name, but for them to get the recognition and for Ahmad, this is the year of redemption for a lot of actors that have been hated and have had bad things happen to them. And if Star Wars can keep doing this, there's a few other actors that are like, and Hayden Christensen. There's another example right there. A lot of hate towards what he's done, and a lot of they brought him back to play Darth Vader. There's a lot of love for that. There's a lot of love this year for actors that have gotten practically bad-mouthed. And Star Wars just needs to keep doing it, but in a proper manner at least.
Kyle
go ahead, Tori.
Say that Best was a Jedi in the Jedi training game show for kids. I forgot about that. For a couple of years, he did do that. I do have one more that I found. Disney announced an updated release date for Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. So it was initially supposed to be released on. No, it's just getting moved up. So it was initially supposed to be released on May. Yes, it was supposed to be initially released on May 4th. Now, its initial premiere is going to be April 26th.
Oh, next month.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm not super excited for it.
It is
but that's
specific. Well, Garrison, it is specifically
It's for
geared.
kids.
It's specifically geared towards younger audiences, so it's going to be something
I'm still
that
watching it.
CJ and I are going to be watching.
You got to
These
let me know how your
teeny
kids
tiny-
like it.
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Phoenix is all about anything Star Wars right now. Cass is the judgmental one. Cassian, judgmental as hell. So
If it
it'll be
doesn't
on
have
him.
a Wookiee, a Grogu, or a funny alien in it, he's not intrigued. He's just not. And he loses his mind when he sees anything with a Wookiee. So if they have a Wookiee in the show, I think he might take some interest. Other than that, he ain't going to pay attention. It'll all be Phoenix. And even then, a Phoenix might not pay full attention to it because it doesn't got Ahsoka in it. So...
And then the last thing I did want to talk about was a prediction that Kyle had. You remember how we saw a bunch of Ahmad Best like interviews and just an increase in popularity, and now all of a sudden, oh, he's back in Mandalorian. He thinks that with the recent uptick of like Daisy Ridley interviews and Daisy Ridley publicity, Daisy Ridley's coming back into Star Wars.
No.
I hope not, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if they do, I hope they can bring it in a proper manner and kind of redeem. Because, like, if you remember, 1, 2, and 3 got a lot of hate, and then a few 15 years later, it's one of the most beloved trilogies out there.
Yeah.
So maybe if they can bring her in on a TV show aspect. Not a movie. Let's not give her a movie because we saw how that went. Let's bring her in. Let's get kind of like the adventures of Rey or something stupid.
Kind of like
and give us
a rogue loner Jedi kind of story.
Kind of like a Ronin type set where she goes around and just does small deeds and saves people.
My thing is we've got Ronin. We've already kind of got that storyline with Mandalorian, with Boba Fett. Even with the Bad Batch, kind of, it's like very much like very Ronin kind of aimless vibes, and I feel like that's part of the problem is we're very aimless in our stories right now.
Like I said, we haven't seen the rest of Mandalorian though, so we can't give that full aimless situation. Bad Batch right now, it just looks like that. Once again, we have how many episodes left of Bad Batch? Guys?
Yeah.
How many left of Bad Batch?
I think there's 8 left.
Okay, so you got 8 more
there's
episodes.
Like 2 left. Because we're at 14 and there's 16 total, isn't there?
Of how many more episodes of Mandor?
No, Bad Batch.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
Because I know there's 2 more episodes after Bad Batch ends of Mando before, Mando ends. And we go back into that dark period of waiting for content.
There's 16 episodes.
Okay, so there's I don't think Bad Batch is going to be able to fix this. I hate to say that. I think they're going to have to cram pack Bad Batch or lead us into the next season. Knowing them and what we've seen, they're going to lead us into a cram pack 2 episodes, and then we're going to be pissed off or annoyed. Me, I'm going to enjoy it because I love my clones and I love my Mandalorians. But
speaking of clones, CJ didn't say it. And I think it was Team Leader. Team Leader says that he got his Phase 2 clone helmet the other day, so they are starting to ship early.
Oh, 2 more Bad Batch and 4 more Mando. Dang. And what's shipping early? I'm sorry, Tori.
You're good. Phase 2 clone helmets.
Phase 2 clone helmets.
I'm waiting to go to Disney to get mine because I want to walk around Disney in mine.
And get harassed by the troopers
because
again?
the last time I was in Disney, I got harassed because I liked clone troopers better than the First Order troopers, and they harassed the hell out of me because I was wearing my Echo shirt, and the lieutenant was sitting there and he's like, "I think you hurt their feelings," because they walked off.
It was the greatest thing ever because Phoenix had been she wanted a picture with the lieutenant. I talked to him. He's like, yeah, where's your data pad? And I went to grab it out of my pocket. I was like, oh, actually my husband has it. And he's like, cool. So let's find your husband. And I turned right around and he's getting harassed by stormtroopers. And I was like, oh, this is super embarrassing, but that's actually it. Like, that's him. And he's like, oh no. So you're one of them. And I was like, I'm not. Like,
I just thought it was funny because they're sitting there harassing me, and I'm like, I lean over to the one stormtrooper, and I'm like, I think I like clone troopers more. And they walked off, and the lieutenant's like, I think you hurt their feelings.
Yeah, one of the troopers actually put his finger up and went, no. And just walked away. I was like, oh my God.
I'm going to have another incident like that. This time it's going to be fully recorded because I'm going to love it.
All right. Is there anything else? I think that's it on my end.
That's it on my end.
Yeah, that's about it. Other than Lenny says we can't be aimless because the goal is to get to Rise of Skywalker. It's just how we get there to the end goal. So that's what was said. No matter what we think about the content, they'll keep going.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. That saying no matter what, they're going to keep going is... Oof. All right. Well, I think that's it for our recap for this week's Star Wars. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Share with others. That's how we get this podcast out there. But thanks again for listening, and may the Force be with you.
Make good choices.
Thank you for tuning in to LSR. If you've enjoyed the show, consider subscribing so you can be notified when new episodes are released. If you would like to be a guest on the show or just want to give us some feedback, feel free to email us. You can also reach out to us on all major social media platforms. Lightsaber Radio is produced by Pickfilm Media and is a Swaycast original, starring Garrison Turcotte, CJ Elliott, and Kyle McDaniel. And don't forget to join us next time for more adventures in a galaxy far, far away.